Boomers! Today I'm going to be discussing the war on women and, in particular, the assault on reproductive health and reproductive rights of women. The struggle for women's rights is facing an unprecedented challenge here in the United States. From reproductive health to bodily autonomy, the ongoing assault by right-wing leaders is reshaping the landscape. This video dives into how prominent conservative voices and policies have escalated this war on women, and we can examine the policies and speeches of people like Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Charlie Kirk, and Mike Johnson, MAGA Mike Johnson, to understand their positions and how they impact reproductive health and rights and women's freedom for their own bodies. The concept of the war on women, framing it as an ongoing battle for control over reproductive rights and access to health care, and there are key statistics that there are abortion bans in certain states, and Donald Trump, even though he is lying about what he will do to institute abortion bans across the country, because that is what he does, and their effect across women across different states. We will highlight the consequences on healthcare, economic stability, and personal autonomy. Now, as I have mentioned in other videos, women who cannot access abortion or if they have a miscarriage, the doctors will go to jail if they help these women, and there's been a recent case that was outlined today on Morning Joe of how a woman could not get to the doctor in time before she died. They bleed out, they get sepsis, and this is happening more and more in these abortion banned states, and it's also Florida and Texas are like highlighted. Donald Trump has appointed conservative judges, especially to the Supreme Court, and which resulted in the overturning of Roe v. Wade in 2022. Defunding women's health services has happened. We can outline Trump-era efforts to defund Planned Parenthood and other organizations, but Planned Parenthood does a lot to prevent cancer screening, and abortion is not necessarily the first thing that they do for women. Planned Parenthood has had to restrict access to reproductive health care based on Donald J. Trump's policies. And maternal health. There are consequences of these policies on maternal mortality. Women are dying. The children are dying, particularly affecting low-income women and women of color. Let's talk about J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance. His view on abortion is he supports abortion bans all across the country and rejection of incest and rape. And I must tell you that years ago, I was on a teen pregnancy prevention panel. We met every week, and interestingly enough, when all of the data was collected, most of the teen pregnancies in York, Pennsylvania, is where I was working, were due to incest and rape. That was why these women, young women, were getting pregnant. They depict abortion as a societal ill while disregarding the practical realities and individual rights of women. J.D. Vance is a Ohio senator, and he has galvanized anti-abortion groups and contributed to restrictive legislation in the state affecting the health and autonomy of Ohio women. Charlie Kirk is an extremist. He has used his media platform, which is called Turning Point USA, to spread anti-choice agenda and frame abortion rights as a leftist plot. Misinformation tactics from Charlie Kirk. He disseminates widely this misinformation about abortion, contraceptive. He wants to outlaw contraceptives, and women's health under the guise of protecting life. And I wouldn't be surprised if he believes that the fetus is more important than a woman's health. And youth, younger conservatives, they note the long-term implications of his anti-abortion and anti-women's health narratives on upcoming generations. So he is snarling people into his web of influence. And Mike Johnson, good old Mike Johnson, you may have heard that they are planning a coup on the American government coming up after the election. And he is not necessarily, I think it was leaked. And this morning it was leaked that immigrants had gone to a state to find some jobs, and they were snarled into a Elon Musk net of misguided BS when he had them go door to door to canvass for Donald Trump. They only had a certain amount of time to do it. They were threatened, and they were carted around in a truck that had no seats and no seat belts, and they were threatened with their lives, basically. That's Elon Musk. He's another one. Mike Johnson pushes for national abortion ban, and he has a vocal support for a national abortion ban and restrictions on medical access related to reproductive health. He targets birth control as well. His stance against contraceptive access and funding for family planning, this affects women's ability to manage their reproductive health and plan families. And as a matter of fact, may I just say, there are many women who are not going to have babies in this climate because they know that their risk for dying, if something should happen to their baby, they will die too. Recent legislation details an example championed by Johnson that significantly restricts women's reproductive options and impacts the broader healthcare landscape. Impact on women's lives. We can describe how the lack of reproductive health care affects women's financial stability, mental health, and ability to even participate in a society that has basically rejected them. There are health care disparities. The disproportionate impact on low-income women and women of color emphasizes how these policies worsen existing health care inequalities. And the economic strain, reproductive restrictions are directly responsible for a lack of economic, let's call it a level playing field for women, and they have to carry pregnancies against their will, can lead to poverty cycles and reduce job participation. There are real-life testimonies from women who have been affected by restrictive laws, as I had just talked about, including those who had to travel out of state for health care, or they faced medical complications due to a lack of local options. And then healthcare providers, they are stressed to the max. They have challenges faced by these healthcare restrictive laws in states with restrictive laws, including the fear of prosecution and ethical dilemmas that they encounter. And may I say that the Hippocratic Oath has gone out the window. First, do no harm. Can you imagine having your hands tied when you are watching people die in your parking lots or in your doctor's office? So our role as activists and then the nonprofits highlight the work of activists, healthcare providers, and nonprofits fighting for the reproductive rights and access to healthcare. The younger generation is really there's just a large segment of the younger generation who are not having this at all, not to mention the women. The early voting statistics so far have shown that women are really turning out for this election. So the younger generation is advocating for change and resisting restrictive policies, and they cite there are grassroots movements and new voices emerging in the reproductive justice space. So, get informed and don't tie yourself to these idiot men who, like Mike Johnson, Charlie Kirk, J.D. Vance, and last but not least, Donald Trump. These people do not care for us. They don't care for you. They don't even care for men. They could give a shit about all of us, and I'm serious about this. Even if you don't like Kamala, I advise voting for her, not just for reproductive rights, but for the Constitution, because these guys want to take everything off the table. So reproductive rights is a human right, and the outcome of these battles will define women's health in the future of America. So there you have it. There's going to be a video that shows up here. Please comment and we can discuss it.